Aloha and welcome to Java. Thank you kindly for joining me again. This is for Thursday. It's March 7th, 2024. Hope everybody had a good rest. This is slightly early. It's another travel day, and if you're new here, welcome. So going right into this, we've got our MMRI favored risk indicator has retraced a bit. So this is mostly on the back of a volatile day because of Jay Powell testifying. And also we got some jobs numbers. So we'll go a little bit more into that in a bit. But as of right now, we've got the relative strength of the dollar retracing, which is bullish for stocks. And we've got the 10-year yield, which also had dropped some. So looking at our board of stocks right now, it's bullish. The futures are mixed. So futures showing a different story. There's a bit of a battle here, but the sentiment right now is bullish. They think rate cuts are coming soon because Jay Powell said so. And we got some pretty cooked job numbers. So going into our calendar, we are expecting prior to market open initial jobless claims. And then after market open, we're going to hear a bit more from Mr. Powell. So Friday, we get more earnings prior to the market open, non-farm payrolls, and unemployment rate. So you can position your trades for tomorrow morning. So, with the banking and economy going into this, today we are expecting to hear from ECB. So, they're expected to hold on hiking rates, cutting rates, any movement, because they may cut in June, is what is expected. We'll see what they do. They've got a little bit more room to go and different numbers, but they're going to try to hold off until June, is the basic expectation. Kind of interesting. Their meeting had to go partly remote because they've got rail workers and other transport employees striking right now for higher wages. And this is in Germany. So while we've got them striking for higher wages, we got a report that German factory orders did slump, showing that they are now into an economic slowdown. So when they demand these higher wages, what happens typically is the companies will raise wages and then cut some of the employees to make up for the difference and expect the rest of those that are still working for the higher wages to cover for the rest. So the nickname for this year is the Year of Efficiency. And basically that means people losing jobs. So in the United States, the House passed $460 billion package on spending bills. So this is supposed to keep the government from shutting down. $1 billion used to be worth something, but now they're popping out. This is close to $500 billion. And it's not to fix things. This is temporary. So highly inflationary. And we'll see the trickle down of this beginning to happen. So we had a couple of warnings from Zillow. First was regarding the housing market trends, that supply is increasing and basically pricing will come down. So the correction is in early stages for the United States domestic housing market also. But Zillow specifically they're saying that there is competition and new programs out. So as a company, they're facing a few headwinds. So I thought this headline was interesting. We've got the media again at it for basically manipulating how people think about things and spinning their stories. So, housing market threatens to make all Americans' lives more expensive. Well, this is Newsweek and they've got this wrong. It's not the housing market or the prices of housing. It's the government passing package after package of these spending bills, sending money to Ukraine and all of these other places. When you inflate the money supply, prices rise because the money becomes less valuable. So the housing market is not causing lives to be more expensive, but rather it is showing how much inflation is happening from their profligate spending. Okay. So with this, I did want to cover a couple of things with small banks. We've got US regulators So they're taking back the capital reserve requirements that they had just put in. And this is basically telling banks that they have to have a certain amount of capital on hand as reserves for the loans that they are creating. Well, they're saying that this is too difficult for the banks to do, so they're walking this back. So, along with this, I really believe we've got more banks that will fail, and not just a few more, but likely hundreds more small banks will be failing or merging. So, what happened with NYCB? Well, they needed $1 billion, so these two stepped in, and if you recognize them, he's the former Treasury. So, and a close ally of his. They stepped in, put up the capital that was needed, and in return, one of them will be expected to serve as CEO, and the other will have a board seat. So, yeah, old Secretary Mnuchin, so Treasury Chief. So, summary of what Powell said yesterday that did move the markets was not to expect rate cuts until they see that we are moving more towards 2% target. Well, all the market saw is, yeah, we're still going to cut in 2024. So inflation has improved, but it's still above their target. And he also said that cutting interest rates, there's risks whether you cut them too early or too late. The big takeaway in my mind was that the labor market demand still exceeds supply. So, saying it out loud that they need to crush more jobs, more people need to be unemployed. So, he admitted that it's likely appropriate to cut rates sometime in 2024, and that they're going to be looking at incoming data. But they say that every time. So, basically, less jobs, and then they'll cut. So, I've got a word about these job openings that came in very close to as expected. We just got the revised jobs data for January, and it was revised lower by 137,000 jobs. So this means that 6 of the 8 last months of JOLTS data has actually been downward revisions. So they put out the numbers on the jobs, get the market to do what it needs, and then they revise them lower. And if you've been here for a while, you know about this. If you're new, and this is a shock, this is just a chart. It kind of shows you relatively the direction that we're heading. And we need basically a lot more red ones down here before they'll do rate cuts. So we've got El Salvador. That president takes a lot of hits, but basically, when he swapped over to Bitcoin as the currency for the country, on this rise, their treasuries just basically made $50 million in the difference. But in reality, didn't, because they're not selling, they're holding it and basically stacking for their country, which I think was a brilliant move. So we've got French President Macron. He said that we should be sending in physical troops, our own people from the United States and the European Union. And then he backtracked after he got some backlash. Well, now he's kind of saying the same thing again and telling people to stop being cowards. Well, this was kind of directed at Germany, so he's not making a lot of friends. First India, then Canada, and now he's basically attacking Germany, and Africa isn't too fond of him either. So, okay, got another story about the protests. So this is a different one now. Still farmers and expanding. They are protesting in Cork. So this is in Ireland, and it's against the growth of air travel because they're told to cut down on their emissions, not just their emissions from their equipment, but also from their animals. So these are the groups that were told earlier last year that they needed to cull their cattle because there was too many gases being emitted by the cattle, so to speak, and that's terrible for the environment. And yet they've still got all this commercial travel. So they're getting pretty serious about this. So I want to show this article, and I'm very disappointed with the Associated Press. Not shocked, but disappointed. They've been kind of heading down a path lately. And it's the way they've worded this headline, that it's a fact focus. The current administration is secretly flying, again, migrants into the country are unfounded. So I want to take this part really quickly because this is how they are controlling basically the minds of the populace. So first, migrants. They're not migrants, they're illegals. Illegal immigrants because they have not passed through the process. Migrants would be welcome. So, first, that's the bomb. Second, saying that they are flying into the country are unfounded. So, kind of spinning it that it is not true. And there actually is foundations for this, but the way that this is worded, they're making you think that this is false and that it's just good people that they're bringing to the interior of the country. And that's really not the case. So I've got one love update I would like to go over. We had Edward Snowden. Basically, this is just his comment on this. But OpenAI, artificial intelligence, confessing on their own blog that as they get closer to building their model of artificial intelligence, that it makes sense to them to start being less open. But it's totally okay not to share this science. So basically, they have been training their artificial intelligence on public, all the platforms, and now what they're going to do is turn it into profit and charge you for the use of it, charge everyone for the use of it, and corporatizing it. So free information for them. Anyway, that's the one headed by Sam Altman, and I don't have a very good opinion of him either. Personally, if you like the guy, sorry. So I still think we should be building community. It's one of the first things you should do to prepare for what's coming, and it's free. Go talk to your neighbors and get out a bit. So with that, if you haven't liked that, I would appreciate if you would. And until I see you again, my friends, stay free.